Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud Course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Now for the track guide. Before starting, if you like this video, if you enjoy the content, if you learn something out of it, you can give it a like or a subscribe. It's a free way to support the channel and it will help me with the YouTube algorithm to push this content to sim racers just like you. Now going into the track guide itself, for turn 1, the first things first is you have to position the car early enough, because if you will turn later and try to open up the corner just a bit later, it will take a bit of your focus away, but also it will cause some lateral weight transfers because you're turning from the right to the left side, but also braking and shifting weight forward, so the car will be unbalanced. Instead, as early as you can, bring it to the left side. Off-track limit is having the left tires still on the green here, so use all the track. I'm looking at the 50-meter board at this point, and for the 50 is almost in the middle of 150, so around 75. I'm applying the brakes. I don't want to brake very hard. There are two different styles of taking the corner. You can either brake super hard and brake maybe a bit later, or you can brake a bit softer, like 80%, and then quickly downshift and try to get a rotation. I think this is gonna be the better way overall. Maybe not for one lap, but for the whole race, because you will spike the temperatures a bit less and you will have more tire life, or the temperatures overall won't be as high as it could be if you just force the brakes too much. In terms of apex point, I want to be very close to this yellow curve, almost, and on throttle I want to be as early as I can, even earlier than this. So this was not a perfect turn 1 for me. Ideally you want to be on throttle at this point in time, around here, to be already back on power. But for that to happen, you have to turn just a bit later into the corner and rotate a bit more. So keep it in mind, this will be our goal into turn 1, be on power before touching the curb. But if you're on throttle, let's say here at the curb, it's still not too bad, but it's not perfect. On the exit, use the yellow sausage curb. You can push the car with the left tires and mount this yellow curb without taking the off track. But if you will touch the red, you will get the off track. So be careful here. There's a small margin. The off track that you saw was from the previous lap. So this was still in the track limits, but it was very close to go and get that off track. So it's gonna be quite hard to avoid it. But the main thing will be a later apex into turn 1. Second, same thing here for this corner for turn 3. You want to keep the car middle of the car, almost on the drain, middle of the steering wheel, almost on the drain, and put the left tires at the end of the green without touching the tarmac. I'm braking more closely to the board this time. So the difference between turn 1 and turn 3 is that in turn 3 you can brake closer to the 50 because you have an uphill braking zone and the car is capable to do that. What's going to be important here is turning late corner, and this is a super critical point. Like, I'm turning right now at the end of the red curve, and I have such a good exit here because I'm able to cut later into the apex very close to the yellow curve, and at this point I'm already 29% on throttle. That's gonna be, the earlier you're gonna be on power, the better it's gonna be. But you will find if you're gonna turn early into the corner that you can't put the power down as early as you want, just because the car will go wide, or the yellow sausage curve, and you have to do a small lift. Instead, you want to turn later and have this good exit, and you will carry this speed all the way straight up until turn 4. Therefore, will be quite tricky. This is a downhill braking zone. It's our first downhill braking, and we're carrying a lot of speed. So if we're gonna brake late and hard, all the weight is gonna be on the front tires, and the rear is gonna lift a bit. So you might spin the car in this corner if you're too aggressive on entry. We're using all the track, we're braking this time between 150 but more closely the 100-meter board. So notice that turn 1, even though we had a bit of elevation change, it was uphill braking, it wasn't as uphill braking as in turn 3. So turn 1 was more close to the 50, more closely to the middle. Turn 3 was more closely to the 50, and now turn 4 is the opposite, more closely to the 100. So keep this in mind, this is because of the elevation change. Better to brake early here than to brake super late, and we have the car unbalanced. Now trailing into this corner, I want to touch this green part, and on the curb I want to put the power down so it can be on power nice and early. You can use a bit this part, but don't go all the way to the gravel tab. If you arrive there, it means that we're over aggressive on the entry, and while you gain some time on the entry, it's possible that you lose that time back on small straight up until turn 6. So up until turn 5. So in 5, we want to brake slightly past the 50 because we have a almost straight line braking and almost no elevation. So after the 50, I'm applying the brakes. Don't brake very hard because you want to barely turn into the corner. So with my steering wheel, notice that the car is going left, but I'm not steering that much. Just here at the apex, whenever I'm putting the power down, and super important here, don't touch this green part of the curb, push it wide. So you want to apex around the white line, maybe kiss the red and white curb, but that's it. If there's something to remember out of it, is this throttle application. 0-100, no modulation, it's gonna give you a good action. Now in terms of positioning for the next corner, for the left-hander, you have to go here straight and then turn. So you can use this part of the track to open up. Even though it's on the right side of the white line, it still won't be an off track. So I'm going straight, and then I'm braking and turning at the same time. This is how it's here. Barely braking, 15%, still trailing, still on the brake, still on the brake. The car rotates a lot, so I had to even counter steer while going into the corner. And now putting the power down, you can kiss this curve like this. It's okay if you hit it, you will go a bit wider, but you will carry a lot of speed. So I'm a big fan of braking softer and longer rather than smashing the brakes hard and late. I think it's a lot more consistent, and I think it's this car is rewarding this type of driving in the long run. Like 5-10 laps in the future, you will thank yourself that you're not forcing the brakes too much, because you will have such a big pace advantage over people that are braking hard and late every time. Tire temperatures on this track this week is low tire temperatures, so might not make such a huge difference, but if you're league racing, if you're racing in another season, then if you have higher temperatures, then it will make a bigger difference each lap. Don't force the tires. Now going into the last sector here, opening up by staying on the green, braking at the 50 and turning at the same time. In fourth gear, I want to flip this green curve, put the power down, stay at 100 and don't touch the red here. You will instantly get an off track. At the end of the red, I'm downshifting and braking. This was very bad corner for me because I turned way too early, and as a result I have to delay my throttle application. So I lost almost 1.5 tenths here in the corner. You want to improve it by turning just a bit later. So notice here that for me the turning point was around here. You want to go forward just a bit more, a few meters more, and then turn, because you will hit this yellow sector from a different angle, and you will have a much shorter time going through the exit. Now, because I hit this early, at this point I'm still not on throttle. At this point I'm from the brake. You should be on power as soon as you get these compressions on, because there's a lot of grip available here. So this was a very late throttle application. It might not look like that, but it was 1.5 tenths in this corner. So a lot of lap time, because right now we have again a big straight. So the key takeaway for the last corner will be turning just a bit later, so that whenever you're touching that compression zone and you feel the suspension compressing, whenever you're close to the yellow curve, then you can smash the throttle 0-100 very quickly without getting the off track or the slowdown on the exit. But in short, that's a track guide with the MX5 at Red Bull Ring. If you want to accelerate the progress, if you like my style, if you want to learn more, then you can check the sim racing course in the video description. A lot of people enrolled and I'm already seeing such a positive feedback from everyone. Anyways, thanks for watching, thanks for sticking around, and I'll be looking to you in more track guides videos or any other videos that I'm gonna make. Bye bye.